You may have been hearing some discourse or seeing complaints about Bungie's new game Marathon that immediately make you not want to play. It's too sweaty. It's too competitive. It's basically a hero shooter. Or, and this one's my favorite, this game just isn't like Arc Raiders. Well, I'm here to tell you that that has not been my experience. You see, a lot of those criticisms are absolutely visible in videos on YouTube and Twitch streams and reviews because those fellas are making a very specific decision. They are playing squads. They're playing with 2 other teammates against other 3-person teams. That results in a lot of PvP engagements that make for entertaining YouTube content. But I, ladies and gentlemen, am not like those other creators. No, my friends. My squad, empty. Friends, never heard of them. I play this game solo and I am having a phenomenal time. So, I'm gonna throw my own hat into the ring. I'm not just going to give you my impressions of Marathon, but I want to talk about the common criticisms levied against it from a solo player's perspective, as I do feel it is very different. For context, some of the criticisms we talk about today are absolutely valid, and you may hate this game as a result of them. I just so happen to see those subjects of criticism in a more positive light, which we will get into. Someone's trash may be your treasure. For more context, I love Arc Raiders. I wasted days of my life to Tarkov and the Cycle of the Frontier, but we don't talk about Bruno, if you know what I mean. Those other games aren't bad. Hell, Marathon may even be worse in your eyes. It just so happens that I love what Marathon is bringing to the table. But without further ado, let's elaborate, shall we? Let's talk about why I got a mad itch. And playing Marathon solo just tossed me the back scratcher. But first, this video is sponsored by SMG. Let's talk about a big one right out the gate. This is an extraction shooter, meaning that the things that don't usually matter in a game like Call of Duty are the things that punish you in Marathon. If you make too much noise in the wrong spot, an enemy will hunt you down. If you enter a room and don't clear your corners and listen for footsteps, someone will sneak up on you. Ammo and health packs and shields are scarce and need to be used wisely. But the trick is, you are not always the prey. You can be the predator too. If you die, you don't just go back to the main menu like in any other multiplayer game. You lose all the gear that you have on you, preventing you from bringing it onto your next run or extracting any rewards on your person. It's an inherently more hardcore gameplay loop that many folks obviously just don't want to mess with. So I understand that many players are frustrated with those player versus player defeats happening often. The common complaint is one of 2 things. Number 1, the PvP is tuned poorly. There are too many opponents on each map and the time to kill is way too fast, resulting in not only frequent firefights, but quick ones. And number 2, the AI is too hard. This AI does not have their hand in their pants. They will spot you from a mile away and hunt you down. They will enter buildings and hunt you down. Let's break down that first point real quick. I find in solos the PvP to be so well tuned. I won't say perfect, but I'm really happy with where it's at. Running into a solo player is obviously much more rare than running into a team of 3. So I still have matches where I may not even see another player. I have matches where I see plenty of them, sure, but because you are not in a team in solo queue, hiding is easier. Flanking is easier. Running away and not having to carry a teammate is easier, even though the threat of being 2-shot by someone looking for your loot is still omnipresent. And that's how it should be. You see, the PvP in Marathon does not fulfill the role of providing conflict. It instead provides tension. The tension of someone potentially watching you from afar or being around the corner. It makes you play this game differently from any other type of game. It forces you to make smart decisions, to get into a building and get out, to choose smart extract points, to choose what loot to bring. The threat of another player is necessary for this game to challenge you, and in solos that tension feels so much more well balanced with the amount of times shit hits the fan. So if the PvP isn't the main conflict role here, then what is? Well, that brings us back to point number 2. The AI. The AI are a dime a dozen here. They flood nearly every compound, and even some extraction points. Even when you have a game where you see no other players, you will highly likely be engaging with these AI robot enemies. It's almost unavoidable. Contracts require you to kill some and loot their commander. Valuable loot chests are guarded by high-level enemies that you either have to fight or sneak around. Turrets keep you on your toes even on the outskirts of the map. This results in Marathon feeling like a PvE game 90% of the time. And I love that. I get to loot weapons and actually use them on all these enemies. So when I lose that cool sniper rifle to another player, I still feel satisfied. I never have to say to myself, damn, I already lost that gun and I never even got to use it. The enemies still drop good stuff too, like other weapons or consumables, so combating them is always worthwhile. But none of that works. That satisfaction doesn't exist if the enemies are easy. If you steamrolled all of them, the only real challenge in Marathon would be, well, the other players, making for a boring game 90% of the time. Instead, Marathon lands in such a great sweet spot. You load in, you run your contracts, gather your tracked materials, engage in some great Bungie gunplay and combat, test and use your new loot on tougher enemies, and extract. This is the most satisfying PvE loop in any extraction shooter to date, but that 10% chance of another player waiting in the wings still forces you to do all those things smarter, more cautiously, with more care, planning, and prep work, a process that we're going to talk about more later. From an objective point of view, I have no problem admitting to you that the map design in Marathon is like objectively worse than something like Arc Raiders. But that doesn't mean I want the design to change. Let me explain. So in Arc Raiders, there is a long time to kill. That TTK serves a purpose. It results in a tense chase between you and your prey. You run through rooftops and open fields and long hallways, and a long TTK makes the gunfights in these spaces all the more meaty and tense. But in Marathon, the hallways are tight and claustrophobic. Large open fields are practically non-existent. Rooftops are cluttered and sometimes filled with AI enemies. If anything, Marathon's core map design is more labyrinthine in nature, more maze-like. On one hand, that means a long TTK does not work here, because if that Arc Raiders-like chase were to ensue in Marathon, your opponent could too easily slip away, jump out a window, escape through a vent, etc. The PvP, the tension builder of this experience, would never result in anything satisfying. In Marathon, the time to kill is relatively short as a result. But that doesn't mean it's not balanced. Fights are quick enough to be nail-biting, to make you focus and focus quickly. Because if you do, you can finish off your opponent and grab their loot before they are lost to that maze-like map design. The good news is that if you're like me and inherently bad at PvP, that TTK and map design works in your favor. You can hide from someone hunting you easily, or shake them off by weaving through structures or jumping into a vent. You are rewarded by properly sneaking up on someone, as the quick TTK means that you can kill them before they even have a chance to react. But that time to kill still has some necessary speed checks enabled based on your shields, different smoke and EMP utilities, as well as the shell you selected, to the point where if you are on your toes, watching the horizon, clearing your corners, and not letting a player sneak up on you, you can respond and turn the tide of a fight quickly, even if you don't shoot first. I have a confession to make, okay? I cannot stand hero shooters. I don't typically play games forever and non-stop. So when I try to get back into a game like Valorant, for example, and I see there's been like 10 new heroes released that I have to learn to play and learn to play against, I'm immediately like, nah, I don't feel like it. And I'm sure Marathon is going to still give that feeling to some people, especially if you play trios. Because again, trios is so much more PvP focused that yeah, you're gonna feel those new shell drops and their abilities more. That sounds great to some. It may even sound great to you. Sounds like hell to me. But in solos, shells play a completely different role. That PvP impact still exists, sure, but as we mentioned earlier, it is greatly diminished. So what do shells do for me as a solo player then? Well, it adds some beautiful variety. Let's say I just got my teeth kicked in on a run and I have to load in with the same damn sponsored kit and free loadout again. Well, I can play as another shell to mix things up and have a completely different match. I just got home from work and I don't feel like playing for long or trying hard. No problem. I'll load in as a rook to learn the map more, or just to see what cool stuff I can extract with. What's that? I have a contract to wipe out some UESC elites? Let me load in as a destroyer so that I have shield and rockets for extra firepower and protection. What's that? I don't have any good guns or enough ammo to sustain me in any firefights? Let me load in as an assassin to use their invisibility and smoke bombs to take the stealthy approach and avoid as many enemies as possible. The shells and marathon solos don't feel like another hero in Overwatch. They feel like another variable, another lever you can pull to keep the game exciting. Shells amplify a part of extraction shooters and marathon in particular that I don't think we talk about enough. We speak constantly about map design and PvP and PvE, blah blah blah, but we don't talk enough about the other half of the extraction game. The prep work. You're gonna spend a lot of time in these menus, buddy, and that sounds like it sucks, but it doesn't. You know that feeling in an RPG or an MMO where you have to prepare for something? Finding certain equipment before jumping into a Destiny raid, increasing your heart containers before fighting Ganon in Zelda, finding the best loot in a battle royale before the circle closes in on you. I love when a game presents you with a challenge, you make your plan to face that challenge, and then execute. It's about the destination and the journey. Extraction shooters have that in general, where you find gear and get good on the lower difficulty maps to prepare for the higher difficulty maps and challenges and quests. Marathon leans into this prep work fully, with progressively more challenging maps, sure, but also with the whole final boss of maps, aka the Cryo Archive, that you need to bring your best gear into to survive. But there's also the prep work for every single run that you do. Here's the loop. A run ends or you just booted up the game. Before restarting a run, you think to yourself, what is my goal? Let's say I have a contract to go wipe out some UESC bots. I say, all right, let me bring in a couple of trusty weapons, a mid-range assault rifle for outdoor engagements, an auto pistol for when they inevitably chase me indoors and when the fight gets close quarters. Gotta make sure I have plenty of shields and health recharges available. And you know, I just picked up a new scope for that rifle I want to try out. Or let's say I need to gather certain resources from certain building to level up my faction rep and unlock new store items. Well, I know I gotta go to this part of the map that's a hotspot among other players, but I just want to get in, grab a bunch of loot, and get out. I'll choose Assassin so I can turn invisible and use smoke bombs to keep myself out of enemies' view. And that modification as well that lets me sprint in water without losing stamina, or heat as this game calls it, that will help me get to the extract faster and run from firefights faster. I love the prep work, and hell, I would even love to see Bungie lean more into it. Like, for example, how would your kit change if you knew that it was going to be raining when you spawned in? Would you forego bringing a sniper rifle in if you knew that your visibility was hindered? Would you maximize your agility since rain cools off your heat significantly? But what we have now is fun. And if you learn to find the fun in that prep work, a whole new world of enjoyment awaits you in these extraction games, but particularly in Marathon. I couldn't give a proper impressions video without talking about the largest factor in my enjoyment of this game. You see, as you can probably tell by my gameplay or prior statements, I am very much a casual gamer. It's why I play solos, honestly. I only have a handful of hours in my week to play a game. Lining those hours up with friends is not easy. So when I play a game, I want it to be satisfying and fun in the short time that I get to play it. Marathon is filling that void for me right now. Everything we've talked about regarding my solo experience has given me enough tough encounters, rewarding loot, and fun progression without disrespecting the short time that I have. Extraction shooters are already punishing, but when Marathon gives me a reason to load in with a list of contracts I can choose from based on what I feel like doing in my free hour, or lets me build faction rep or complete challenges for rewards in a match even if I die within the first 5 minutes, or the game presents me with multiple worthwhile upgrade trees to increase my power floor and make every run easier, all while I constantly chase a mixture of short-term and long-term goals that I set for myself. This punishing genre, all of a sudden, feels a lot more welcoming. And I guess that's the best way that I can frame my advice to you. Play Marathon on its own terms. Yes, you will lose loot, but you will also gain riches. Yes, you will die, a lot, but you will also extract with your heart racing. You will walk through what feels like your 10th science laboratory looking thing that round alone, but you will also drop everything you're doing to investigate a mysterious area or secret that you just came across. You will struggle, you will lean closer to your monitor when things get tense, you will be defeated more times than you can count, but you will always say, let's do one more run. The risk-reward loop is high here, but Bungie has done the hard work to make it balanced, to make it feel like even on the days where you do get slaughtered, you have fun, you feel rewarded, you accomplish a goal, etc. And if you're playing squads and not experiencing any of what I just said, give solos a try. Because if I am loving this game that I as a casual gamer feel programmed to hate, then there's a chance that you can love it too. But what do you think? Have you tried Marathon or are thinking about picking it up? If you've played it, what are your impressions so far? I'll see you down in the comments. And for more gaming videos like this over a cup of coffee, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.